Hey everyone. My mother is, without sugarcoating it, not the best person in the world. I don't say this out of spite or resentment, but out of a painful truth that I've had to live with for most of my life. She wasn't just negligent, she was abusive, both physically and more often mentally. My sister and I were her primary targets. It's hard to explain the toll that constant belittlement and emotional manipulation can take on a young mind. To make matters worse, she wasn't just absent emotionally. She was absent physically, too. She'd come home to eat, sleep, and unleash her anger on us. The rest of her time was spent outside, cheating on my dad with other men. My dad, the unsung hero of this story, was the one who bore the burden of parenting us. He shielded us from the worst of her abuse and taught us to stand up for ourselves and for each other. He worked tirelessly, not just to provide for us, but also to protect us from the toxic environment at home. But amidst all this chaos, my dad was quietly gathering evidence of my mother's infidelity and her abuse towards my sister and me. He patiently waited, biding his time, until my sister and I were old enough to testify in court. He knew that he had to secure our safety and well-being, even if it meant going through a painful legal battle. When my sister and I were finally old enough to testify in court, my dad decided that enough was enough. He filed for divorce, armed with the evidence he had meticulously collected over the years. He moved out of the house, and I moved out with him. My sister stayed with our mother. The divorce proceedings were far from easy, especially given my mother's penchant for lies and manipulation. She tried to play the victim card, claiming that my dad was the abuser, which was, of course, the exact opposite of the truth. When the court date arrived, my sister and I stood before the judge, our voices steady and our hearts resolute. We recounted the years of abuse, the lies, and the sheer neglect we had endured. We spoke of my mother's deceit, how she had lied about me living with her just to claim child support from my dad. The judge saw through her facade, admonishing her for her falsehoods. She was fined for lying to a judicial authority, and her credibility crumbled in the courtroom. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of my dad. We were free from the toxic grip of our mother. She lost custody, and the child support money she had deceitfully obtained was rightfully returned to us. It felt like a victory, but it was bittersweet. The scars of the past were still there, and the wounds were far from healed. My mother became a distant figure in my life. Occasionally, she would try to worm her way back in, playing the forgiveness card. But her apologies were hollow, devoid of genuine remorse. She wanted something from us, usually money, and when we refused, she would revert to her old ways, blaming us, playing the victim, and hurling insults. If you're going through something similar, please know that you are not alone. Reach out to those around you, seek help, and never underestimate your own strength. There is life beyond the darkness, and there are people who care, who will stand by you and help you find your way back into the light. Thank you for giving me the space to share my truth. And to my dad, thank you for being my hero, my guiding light, and my unwavering source of hope. Thank you for listening.